This is Club 56.
This is Club 56.
We wanted to explore the disconnect that sometimes happens between adults and kids.
Hello, my name is Whitney. I'm 11 years old and I'm part of Club 56 at Luther Memorial Church. Today I will be interviewing.
Hi, I'm Abram and I'm 8 years old.
All right, let's get started. So, what do you hope to do when you grow up? Or what are you excited for when you grow up?
I hope that I can go to all the states in America and also become a sports player.
So, are you excited for the responsibility to do that on your own?
Yeah.
Okay. What do adults expect out of you?
They expect that I will that I'm a good student and a nice person and a good teammate. And yeah.
Okay. So have you ever felt misunderstood by an adult?
Mm-mm.
No? Have you ever felt like an adult has expected too much out of you?
Not really.
Have you ever had an experience when you felt that way?
Mm-mm.
No?
Yes.
What are you how do you feel that adults treat kids, especially with your experience?
I think, they treat, at least me, nicely. And, and also, and also, yeah.
Okay. Good. Thanks for joining me, Abram.
Hello, this is Derek Phelps, and I'm here with Colin Phelps, and I will be interviewing him today. All right, first question. As a kid, do you ever feel misunderstood by adults, or adults expect too much out of you?
Yes, I feel like adults, especially my parents, expect way too much out of me when it comes to school, and they just misunderstand about stuff about that.
All right, next question. Do you ever feel like you don't know something that a grown-up expects you to know?
Yes, again, yes. Mostly when it comes to school stuff, they expect me to know something, and I really don't know it, or I don't understand what they're talking about. So, yeah, that's a yes.
All right, and now for the final question. How do you feel when an adult assumes you know things?
I feel like I'm misunderstood and that I'm mistreated because they want me to be better when in reality I'm not. So it doesn't feel normal.
Hi, my name is Emily, and I'm here today to interview you. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Addison Quinn Cooper.
Hello, Addison. So I'm here to ask you a few questions. For the interview. Okay. So, do you feel like grown-ups assume what you think?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. What do kids think about?
I think about science a lot.
So, your dream career?
Yeah, that's my dream career.
Okay. What do other kids in general think about?
They think about TV shows, pets, animals, their favorite hobbies.
Yeah, I agree. Since being a kid myself, I do agree. So, my very last question is, do grown-ups assume what you are capable of? Do grown-ups assume what you can do?
No.
Do grown-ups think you can do more than you already can? That's basically the question.
Well, no.
Okay. Thank you so very much for your time, Addison. I will see you next time, I guess. Well,
Hi, I'm Cora Weiss, and this is my mom.
Hi, I'm Kelly Weiss.
I'm going to be asking her some questions today, and she's going to answer them, hopefully. Do you think you act like the adults in your life acted when you were a kid?
No, I don't. I think that a lot has changed around how we interact with kids, how we treat them, the things we care about. When I was growing up, it was kind of like go outside and come back at dinner, and now we're a little bit more protective of where the kids go, and we talk about a lot more. I didn't talk about as much with my mom as I talk about with you. So I think a lot has changed in just one generation.
Interesting. Okay, next question. Does being an adult change how you act in situations?
Yeah, for sure. I think that you have a lot less freedom when you're an adult. You are expected to behave more reserved and watch what you say a little more. I sometimes see little kids just kind of flopsing around and think, I would love to be doing that right now. And kids can sometimes have no filter in what they say, and I would love to just be able to say whatever I want. So I definitely think that as you get older, you have to kind of rein in what you say and what you do. And I think in some ways that's good, and in other ways I think we miss out a little bit.
Okay. Something to look forward to. Do you think you treat adults differently than kids? If so, how and why?
I mean, I generally hope that I'm kind to everybody, but I think that with kids, you don't expose them to as much stuff. You don't talk about some of the things that are going on in the news in the same way. You kind of try and keep the stress of the world and adult issues out of their minds so they can just enjoy being kids. I think that kids too, I do use smaller words and speak more slowly to make sure that they understand. I don't ever use baby talk. I like to talk to kids, they're just like I would anyone else, but just in a way that they can understand. So, I wouldn't walk up to a kid and start talking about tax policy or something.
Okay, I understand that. Last question. What do you think the biggest difference between how adults and kids act and think is?
I think that adults have a lot more that they need to consider because we have to consider money and where money goes and health and what's healthy. I think kids get to focus on growing up. There's a lot that happens with kids. Your mind is forming, your body is forming. So I think it's okay for kids to get to focus on that. And it takes a lot to become the person you're going to become. And so that's a kid's job. But an adult has to still continue that personal growth as alongside all of the other things of jobs and taxes again, money and relationships and responsibilities. So I think that adults just have a lot more moving pieces. probably the not fun stuff. But the nice part of being an adult is I have more freedom to make choices. I think kids have a lot of rules that they need to follow, and I can go where I want to go when I want to go there. So I think that there are really good trade-offs to getting older too.
Hi, I'm Cora Weiss, and this is my dad,
Aaron.
I am going to be asking him some questions, and he is going to answer them. Okay. First question. Do you think that you act like the adults in your life acted when you were a kid?
I think that is our default sometimes, what we do automatically. And a lot of times that's good, but there are definitely some things where I've had to make a conscious effort not to act like my instinct or like the adults did when I was a kid, because I thought about it and I decided that isn't the kind of adult or the kind of parent that I wanted to be.
Okay. Next question. Does being an adult change how you act in situations, and if so, how?
That's a really tough one. I think it does. I think one of the big differences I feel is less nervous. I remember being more nervous when I was a kid, or feeling like maybe I didn't know what I was doing or didn't belong. It's a nice part of being an adult. That goes away.
How and why do you think you act differently?
I don't know. That's a tough question. Do I need answers to all of them?
I don't know. Maybe we can just not include.
If I think of that, we'll come back to that.
Okay. Do you treat adults differently than kids?
Yeah, I think I do. I think I'm probably more patient with kids than I am with adults. And sometimes I think I can be more patient with kids because I know that they're still growing. I know that they're still learning and developing. But if adults are annoying, I feel like I'm worried that's the final version. So I don't have as much patience sometimes.
Okay, that answers the second part of my question of the if so, how, and why.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Last question. What do you think the biggest difference between how kids and adults act and think is?
Biggest difference between how kids and adults act and think. I think kids are more creative. Kids are more willing to try something out. In a lot of ways, kids are more brave like that than adults are, I think.
Why, thank you.
Absolutely. And that's really exciting. It's a fun thing to see.
Okay. Well, thank you for answering the questions.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for asking them.
Anything else you want to add on this topic?
No, I'm an adult, but I'm still figuring it out. I don't think that ever stops.
Okay.
Hello, I am Derek Phelps, and I am here with my mother, Renata Phelps, and today I will be interviewing her. Alright, for the first question, I'm going to ask you, did you act like the adults in your life when you were a kid?
I think maybe I tried to act like adults in my life when I was a kid, but I'm sure I didn't because, kids are kids. So kids have a lot more fun and fewer responsibilities but also fewer things that they can do on their own. So I'm sure there were some things that I wasn't allowed to do. I mean, I know there were some things that I wasn't allowed to do and I wanted to. And there were a lot of things that I didn't have to worry about because I was a kid.
All right, for the next question, as a kid, how did you feel your relationship with adults?
I think with my mom and my dad, it was very, very kind of traditional. So they always, like when I think about my parents, it was like this mom and dad always. Even my mom would refer to my dad as dad all the time. Like I don't remember too often my mom talking to my dad by his first name. And I don't know, it was just, I think back then, and maybe it's because where I was raised, it was also a little bit more traditional in the sense that kids were just supposed to listen to adults, which I think now it's different because we try to incorporate you into decision making when we can. And back then it was more like, this is what we were doing and stuff like this. So sometimes I think I miss that my voice mattered.
Okay. For the third question, when you were younger, was there a time when you felt like grown up didn't understand something? Like, do you have a memory that you can share of one?
Yeah, I was a very sensitive kid, so it was very easy to make me cry. And I remember that I would sometimes get very upset about very little things. And I remember people telling me that these weren't things to worry about, that, wait until you're older. And I remember that it always got me angry because at that time, I didn't care about the problems that I was going to have in the future. I cared about the problems that I had at that time. So that was something that I've been always trying to kind of remember as a parent. And I hope I do remember that, is that your problems are not small to you because they are your problems. And this is what you're dealing with right now. And I remember that I always wanted to make sure that I remember that in the future.
All right. When you're a kid, have you ever had something that your parents did that was unfair to you, or like when you were a kid you felt misunderstood, and your parents expected way too much out of you?
I'm sure. I mean, my parents were really good parents. I had a really good childhood, so I can't really complain too much. But I'm sure there were times. Oh, I remember when I was little, my bedtime was, I had to go to bed, and it didn't matter if I was tired or not. I just had to stay in bed. And I remember laying in bed thinking how unfair it was that I had to be in bed. And it was like 7 p.m. It wasn't 11 p.m. Derek. And I remember it was still light out, and I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, when I'm an adult, I'm going to go to bed whenever I want to. I'm not going to stick to any bedtime. So I remember that.
All
But
right.
now that I'm an adult, I also know that kids need their sleep. So if you have to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, it's kind of your parents' job to make sure that you get enough sleep.
Hello, my name is Emily, and would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Angie. I'm Emily's mom and have been her whole life.
Good to know. So I have a few questions for you today about what kids think about.
Okay.
So, question 1 is, what do you think kids think about?
Oh, I think kids have very active imaginations. So I think that they are often imagining some grand adventure. I think they probably a lot of times think about what they're going to do for fun after they're done doing whatever their parents are telling them they have to do, or their teachers are telling them they have to do. Probably something about cats.
Yeah, that is a very, yeah, you're right. So, do you think kids have more ability to do things?
More ability to do things than what?
Like, than they really can?
I think I'm not 100% sure that I understand your question. I think kids can do a lot of things. I think that when given the opportunity, kids can do great things.
Yeah. And my last question for today is, did your parents assume how you think?
I think they probably did. I remember often being frustrated that my parents didn't understand me. I think every kid thinks that at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember getting frustrated with them because they assumed my intentions or assumed my thoughts.
Yeah, I think every kid thinks that at some point in their lives.
I think you're right.
Especially in their kidhood.
Yes.
Which is basically what I just said. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for coming today, Mommy.
And thanks for having me. It was really fun.
Yeah, this was fun. So I'll see you whenever we do another podcast.
Great.
What can you tell me about when you were younger?
I was really busy, active kid. I worked hard in school, and I had a lot of activities out of school.
Did you act like the adults in your life when you were a kid?
Not really. I mean, I was a kid, and, most of the adults in my life had their own things going on.
Do you feel different now that you're an adult, or do you still feel like a kid?
Sometimes I feel like a kid, especially when I don't know how to do something. I get that same feeling of like a little pang of anxiety that I don't know how to do it, but not really.
As a kid, how did you feel your relationship was with adults?
I had a very good relationship with all adults. I never really had a problem with it. My parents took me to places with them where I might be the only kid. It was fine.
Hello, my name is Whitney. I'm 11 years old and I'm part of Club 56 at Lutheran Memorial Church. And today I'm interviewing.
I'm Jeff Shank. I'm Whitney's dad. Happy to be here today.
So what would you say is the difference between being an adult and a kid?
Well, there's a lot of differences. Being an adult obviously comes with a lot more responsibility as far as taking care of everybody and having a job and all those things. But being a kid's hard too. It's very stressful growing up, and there's a lot of challenges you face that, at least as an adult, you're kind of in a more stable situation. So it's not easy. Both come with their challenges, but both have their joys as well. Being a parent is a fantastic thing. It's great to see your kids grow up, and it's a total joy. And, being a kid, you get to have fun, and you get to, have a little more whimsical experience in life.
What would you say you expect out of kids?
I expect them to do the right thing, to have a kind heart and treat other people respectfully, to learn how to work hard and to be open to learning and getting and growing and maturing and eventually working toward becoming an adult who can take care of themselves and their family. But also, to have fun and to enjoy life.
What would you say, have you ever felt like a misunderstanding between like kids and you?
Sure. All the time, adults have a different perspective on life from their life experiences than kids do. And so they see the world a little differently. I always try to step back and remember from when I was a kid and to see the world through your eyes as well to help sort of bridge that understanding. But of course, yeah, there's always going to be misunderstandings.
Have you ever wondered what's going on in a kid's head?
Every day? No, of course. Yeah, no, especially with your own kids. You want to know what's making them tick, what's making them happy, what's on their minds, what their concerns and fears are. I wonder that every day. I really do. And sometimes when you're just not connecting and you're not understanding why someone's doing what they're doing, then you really want to know that so that you can sort of help bridge the gap.
How do you feel that how your kids are growing? Do you think they're becoming more mature?
Absolutely. All of them. And this pandemic, one of the silver linings of it is it has, with the online school and everything, it's required the kids to be a little more independent, a little bit more self-sufficient and self-starters. And so, no, of course, there's a lot of growth that happens every year, and each age is different. And I'm very proud of my kids.
Okay, thank you.
I learned that adults and kids have different perspectives.
Adults just want the best for you, and sometimes it comes with misunderstanding.
It can get very hot under a blanket, especially for me and my dad under a thick blanket. Oh yeah, I was underneath the blanket with my dad because we were recording the podcast. And it helped record the podcast because there are no hard surfaces to bounce off of. If you end up just recording a podcast under a blanket, make it a thick blanket. And don't have my heater of a dad underneath it.